Hello, everyone out there on Offsite Dirt. My name is Karen Benner, and this is Building Better with Karen, where I bring awareness to the people and organizations who are making a positive impact on the built environment's role for a healthier people and planet. I feature guests who are working on product innovations, workforce development, affordable housing solutions, community engagement, and financial models. And today I am so excited to introduce all of you to the Trade Institute of Pittsburgh and Donta Green, the executive director. Hello, Donta.
Hi, Karen.
I'm just thrilled to have Donta on the show today. He is my third guest and the first guest that I have here really to talk about workforce development. I picked up in advance in preparation, I wanted to get some of the more recent statistics that have been coming out related to the lack of skilled labor in our construction industry. And one of them came from constructiondive.com. They put out a brief just a few months ago that says that contractors will need to hire an estimated 546,000 workers in 2023. And that's in addition to the industry's normal pace of hiring. So we definitely need to be training more folks. We need to be getting more folks into the construction industry. And I'm again, just thrilled to have Donta here to talk about what the program, what their program is doing and the way that they're going about it. Every time that I am engaged in anything at the Trade Institute, any kind of event there, I leave with a very full heart. Sometimes I leave with a little bit of mascara running because it's always an emotional event because they're doing such special work. So Donta, I would love for you to give our Offsite Dirt audience an overview of the Trade Institute of Pittsburgh.
Sure, absolutely. First, thank you, Karen, for inviting me and finding me worthy of having this conversation. So truly appreciate that. Yeah, but the Trade Institute of Pittsburgh is a nonprofit vocational life skills program. We're based out of Homewood, and what we do is we empower men and women with barriers to employment through life skills and vocational training. And then on the back end, we give them livable wage opportunities. So to kind of break down the organization, it's very important to stress that we take a very untraditional approach. We don't just focus on the vocational side. We believe if you give someone hard skills or a trade, they can go out and get a job right away, right? But unless you take care of the whole person, that they may not be able to sustain that job long term. So we take a very, very untraditional approach in providing wraparound and supportive services and life skills classes to help develop the person. So on the vocational side, we have masonry and carpentry. Masonry is our core programming. We're just figuring out their skilled aptitude. And then we have carpentry where people can graduate and kind of transition over to carpentry with more industry specific training. So that pretty much takes care of the vocational side. The life skill side, we have a full-time life coach where all of our students get an hour of counseling a week. We have a full-time case manager who connects all our students to whatever resource they need walking in our doors. And then we have a job developer who does two things. He does career readiness classes, and then he also connects all our graduates to livable wage opportunities and careers upon graduation. So we're really excited about the things that are happening at the Trade Institute of Pittsburgh, a lot of new initiatives. And basically, if I had to sum up, our philosophy is, in a few words, is, we see a need and we meet it, regardless of what it is, whether it's us getting a community partner involved to support a person through this phase of their life, or if it's us actually meeting the need ourselves. And our goal is to make sure that we're moving everyone forward and we're helping people find their next.
I love it. I love that. I love find their next. That it just covers it so well. So you have a masonry and carpentry program, and is it correct to say that masonry always comes first, and that's really where they start and they show their aptitude, as you said, learn some of the basic skills, and then they are given the opportunity to move into carpentry if they'd like? Can they go
That is
right
correct.
into carpentry? Okay.
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
Yeah, cool. And how do you find your students, or how do your students find you?
Yeah. So for many, many years, it's just been word of mouth. Someone comes to our program, gets a job, goes back to the community, people ask how they got their job. They say trade to Pittsburgh. And then that's how we've kind of kept a continuous flow of participants in our program. Just as of late, we've hired a community engagement coordinator who was out in the community, letting people know who we are and that we are here and we exist. And then we use social media as a way to market what we do. And then also just our community partners like Renewal, and there's others who deal with young people or even families that are looking for either a change in careers or looking for an opportunity.
Okay. And it's a free program. Is that correct? You're
100% free.
Yeah. And is there really any stipulation at all other than just a willingness to show up? I mean, is there really any other requirements, age or anything else that your students need to meet?
Just the willingness to work.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, when we're interviewing our students, our potential students, we're just trying to figure out if they have the will to work. That's like the big thing. And then another is, are they willing to make the changes that they need to make in order to take advantage of the opportunity? A lot of our students come with some things that just isn't conducive to them moving forward or finding their next. And are you willing to put in the work to make those changes? So those are the really two things. You don't need a high school diploma, you don't need a GED, you don't need a driver's license. All those things we can help while you're in the program. Our main thing is, are you willing to work and are you willing to make the changes that's needed to be made? Yeah.
So I had a firsthand experience of being involved in a trade program whenever I was, a few years ago, whenever I was in Denver. I was involved in the Colorado Home Building Academy. I'll give them a little shout out, a great, construction boot camp for exactly this reason, just to really help bring people in. And it was a lot of the basics that I think your program is covering as well, and some math and basic tools and safety. But I think that there's some really special things that TIP is doing that not every trade program out there is doing. And I would love for you to maybe dig a little bit deeper into how you are ensuring success for your students. What do some of those wraparound services look like? And help us understand some of the barriers, even in the messaging. We talk a lot in workforce development about part of the reason that we've ended up in this crisis of a construction labor workforce need is the messaging that has been coming out for a couple decades of, you can't necessarily, you need to go to college, you need to have, this particular career path. And we know now that that is not true. Another statistic that I pulled out today in advance of this interview from the National Association of Home Builders, their report in 2021 is that the annual wages in construction in Pennsylvania, for example, the mean for a brick mason was in the top 25% of earners, their mean was $77,000 a year. And for a carpenter, $62,000 a year. I mean, that's a great living. And so I think, that's been part of our messaging that needs to change. But getting back to, what is really ensuring success for your students? What else are you all doing other than those hard skills?
Yeah, really good question. So first, just want to touch on one of the last things you said is the messaging, right? A lot of our students, we talk about barriers to employment. A lot of our students, the barrier is access. For many, many years, our people from our community have not had access or had the opportunity to take advantage of the work that is happening in their backyard. So that's one of the big things that we're doing, is trying to be that bridge over that gap, between that gap, so that our students see and understand and know that these are great opportunities, great career opportunities. I mean, you can live a really good middle-class life, working in the trades. So, our community engagement person, that's one of the things that she is charged to do, is make sure that she's getting out there and letting kids know, college isn't for everybody. And, and this is a college graduate speaking, it's not for everybody, right? And there's other avenues to success, and college is not the only one. So that's one of her jobs, is to go out there and let those high school kids know that there is these opportunities. It's not a second class citizen career. You know what I mean? It's not for people who, maybe have messed up, or, man, this is a viable option for people to live a great life. So that's one of the things that we try to make sure that messaging is clear, and that we're presenting those opportunities to our potential students. But so for us to ensure that our students are successful long term, I kind of touched on it a little bit, but alongside the life coaching, the case management, the job development, when we have different classes and different people coming in. So we have community partners with different banks, and who comes in, and all our students will graduate with a bank account. All of our students take anger management. If they fail the drug test, they take drug and alcohol counseling. And really the drug and alcohol counseling is just awareness, letting them know and understand what drugs can do to the body. We do financial literacy. We talk about budgeting. We talk about, making sure you're making good decisions. What's an asset, what's a liability, what's an expense, like really get them to understand how money works, because 9 times out of 10, when you graduate, you're going into making more money than you ever made. All right. So how do you manage that money? Just because you're making more money doesn't mean you create more expenses, right? So just letting them know how money works, so they can stop being in survival mode and be in thriving mode. One of the things that we ignited last year was our driver's ed program. So our case manager asked me and my COO, what is one of the main issues that you see that you want me to focus on? We both said driver's license. So he started in March. He started in February, started the driving school in March. So from March to December, he was able to get 34 people driver's license and permits. And just understanding that a person with a driver's license and a car increases their chances of making $3 to $6 more than a person without. So just knowing those statistics, these are the kind of things that'll help people be successful long term. And it just opens up the door for so many more opportunities. Part of our community engagement person job is making sure that they're keeping in contact with our alumni. And I think that's one of the most underrated pieces and under marketed pieces that we do. We meet with every single one of our students for a year, once a month. But then we also run programming through our office. So we have continued education opportunities. We have, first-time home buying programs that we provide to our alumni. We have, how to start a business modules for our alumni. And every single service that was provided to a student while they're in our program is also available to them while they're out working. And then I say the last piece that we don't really talk about often is, we're almost like external HR for a lot of our employer partners. If there was an issue, we encourage our employer partners to give us a call, not when you're ready to fire them, but give us a call when you start seeing a pattern or some things that are changing, so that we can jump in and try to help, meet whatever need there is. Because there was a statistic that I read earlier this year, and it was like, 85%, I think numbers between 80-90% of the reason why people leave their jobs has nothing to do with the employer or the employee at work. That's to do with the outside stuff, things that people bring to work. So if we can jump in and help someone through a rough time, or help someone with childcare or transportation, or whatever the case may be, we're open and willing to do that. And we've done it, time after time. And that's just what we think support to our graduates should look like. And since we've done that, we've really seen an increase in people staying with their jobs and really working through life issues.
That's awesome. And again, something that I have realized as I've gotten, closer to this issue in the last couple of years, that a lot of the trades training programs are, they have employee partnerships, and they are ensuring that it isn't just a goal of graduation from the program, but the goal is employment. But then handing that student over to an employer and kind of calling that done and the milestone, and not having that follow up, and then also not necessarily ensuring that your employer partners might have an appreciation for and understanding of who these people are, where are they coming from, what do they know, don't they know, as you said, what are they bringing to work every day. I mean, I think this could be a topic for all employers, regardless of industry or education or background. But this is a really great segue into what I wanted to talk about next in terms of your employer partnerships. If you can tell us who you work with and how you develop those, and really what you are looking for. How do you ensure that their kind of mission, vision, values align with yours to ensure that you have that success?
Sure. So we work with a wide range of businesses. It's not only in construction, because being that, we're trying to capture a specific group of individuals in our community. Not everyone is fit to go into construction. So we really use masonry to figure out their skilled aptitude and try to connect them to job opportunities and career opportunities that there's two things. One, fits their skill set, but also has that person has that interest in that industry. So wide range. If we're just talking on the construction side, from smaller outfits, 5 to 6 man crew, to big union shops. I mean, we work with them all in carpentry, masonry, manufacturing. We have partnership with steam fitters, the laborers union. So it's literally anybody who is willing to give our students an opportunity and treat them right and pay them a livable wage. We're really willing to work with them. And it really, really helps when employers come to the table and they're willing to listen, and listen to how some of the things that our students go through, and willing to work through, because it's not going to be peaches and cream all the time, right? Everyone's not going to be smiling and skipping every single day. But when those other days, when they surface, how do you deal with it, right? And we want to make sure that we're all on the same page, and the employer knows that their success is our success as well, just as the employee success. So just this collaborative, effort to make sure that the match is a great fit, is really what we look for when we're searching for employer partners.
That's awesome. And the living wage is so important too. I mean, that's something else that is a key part of something our industry can maybe be doing a little bit better at. So for the benefit of our audience, also, the way that I got to know the Trade Institute of Pittsburgh is through some work that I was doing with a local modular housing provider here in the city of Pittsburgh, who created an opportunity to work with TIP and actually become one of their employer partners. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? And you mentioned in your list of folks that you work with, manufacturing. I don't know if this is who you were thinking of, or if there's other manufacturing that you're other manufacturing employer partners, but tell us what your experience has been like in terms of exposing your students to the concept of construction jobs in a factory.
Yeah, it's actually a new concept to me. I've always heard of prefab or modular homes, but never really seen the ins and outs and really understanding how beneficial it could be, and how it could really address the housing shortage that we have in our country. So we have a partnership with Module, and Brian is amazing what he does. And one of the things that I always like to mention, even before going into the actual partnership, is that I appreciate them so much, because there's many times where these new ideas and these new concepts come to our city, but the people in our city don't actually get the opportunity to benefit from them, right? So the module team is very intentional about making sure, all right, if we are going to be building in Garfield, we want people from Garfield building these homes. And so I can't say enough, I can't commend them enough for having that thought process to include the people that actually live there. So basically what we're looking to do as Module is building out the last mile lab and figuring out, does this work? Can they have a factory here in the city? The hope is once that happens, we'll be the workforce development partner for them, and we can feed them talent through our training and through our carpentry program, and they can transition it right into the modular home piece. There's been talk about, maybe spinning off some social enterprise that can even help support once the houses are done, how are they configured on the site or on the plot. So it's like we're at the tip of the iceberg. There's so many ways that I think that we're going to be able to partner in the near future. But I just can't say enough about just our thoughtfulness of including the residents that actually live in the neighborhoods in which they're going to be building.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And, that's building better. Just as a plug for, the name of my show, it doesn't always have to mean a super high performance, super innovative home, but, creating opportunities for people to make a good living, to be in a safe, working on a safe construction site where they're respected, where they're being paid a living wage, they're receiving benefits, they're able to make a good living for their family, they're able to do it right in their community. That is building better. And I am very excited to see this happening here in Pittsburgh as well. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit more on what your students have already been able to do at the Last Mile Lab and with the module team?
Sure. So one of our maybe 2 or 3 carpentry cohorts ago, Brian had hosted us on a tour of one of the factories in Clarion, PA. And really gave our students the opportunity to see how these modular homes are built, the whole system. It was great because a lot of our students had no idea, just like me, had no idea like what went into it, right? And then what are the benefits of a modular home? I think that is downplayed the most, like having carpenters and drywall people. Having all these people working inside in a controlled environment is genius. Because one thing in Pittsburgh, construction is seasonal, but with this, not so much. So they were able to go out to Clarion and visit one of the sites. They were able to walk through one of the homes that the module has built in Garfield or in East Liberty, which was pretty cool. And then just as of late, the last cohort was able to actually work on a test box that is at their Last Mile Lab in Carnegie, PA. So our guys were able to get in and actually put their skills to work. And it was a great opportunity. Actually, I just found out that we will be going to DC where this text box will be displayed to be able to kind of share that moment with Brian and his team. So really excited.
Yeah, that's really exciting. When will that be? Do you know?
I want to say it's June 9th is when we'll go down. I'm not sure about the entire itinerary, but
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's really cool. And also I want to just touch on, I know another way that you put the skills to work and also create some opportunity to even generate some revenue for TIP, I believe you build sheds for folks, right?
Yes. So before we started our carpentry program, one of the biggest gripes was, how do we sustain this? Because in our masonry shop, everything can be reused for about 6 to 12 months. Carpentry, not so much. You can't cut a 2x4, glue it together and cut it again. It just doesn't work, right? So the biggest gripe was, how do we sustain this? So Mr. Mark, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Mark. He is our masonry instructor. Our carpentry instructor, has been a carpenter for over 45 years, running his own business, doing home builds, extensions, kitchen, bathrooms. I always like to say, he's probably forgot more than I know. But this guy knows a little bit of everything. So he had this idea of we can construct sheds. Everyone needs a shed. And with the shed, it mimics building a house, right? You know how to frame floors, walls, hang doors and windows, exterior finishes, shingles, trim, the whole 9, painting. So what we do is we build these beautiful sheds that are spec to, any home in Pennsylvania. All the studs are 16 off center. It's a very, very well built shed. Awesome. So we take 2 weeks building the shed inside our space. Then we'll take it down modular, and then we will load it up, and then we will deliver it to the person who purchases the shed. When we deliver it, we actually install it. So we'll dig footers or pour footers. We use laser levels to make sure that the ground is level, and then we'll install it right on the site to basically, after we leave, they can just open up the door and start using the shed right away. So it gives our students the experiential training, being out in the elements, I think last year, one day it was like 7 degrees when they were installing the shed.
Oh,
It was
wow.
crazy. And we
Welcome to
gave them the option.
construction.
Right. Welcome to construction. We gave them the option, like, you guys can stay in. They're like, no, we want to go and finish the shed. So they went out and finished it. So it gives them that elements, working on the elements, that the nuances of that. But it also gives them all of the basic knowledge of putting a house together, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. And I love that ingenious way to figure out how to convert that, material waste of the program, of all of, the cutting and all of that, and turning it into a real thing that you can go and provide a service to people, a product to people. And,
Yep.
One of the things that I love so much about this industry is I get to drive into various cities all over the country, actually, where I've worked, and point to things that I helped to create. I could see neighborhoods that I helped, we completely created this neighborhood, or there's a house that I helped to create, or, inside that home, I helped them, redo their kitchen, and I would be able to go in there and see this. And that's one of the great things about this industry, is that you can see your work. And I love that your students are kind of getting a taste of that with these sheds, because that's where the magic happens.
Yeah. And one thing cool about our sheds too, I have to say this, is that we sell them for the amount that we have in the cost of the material. So our only goal is to sell that shed and take the money that we made from that shed and purchase the next material for the next cohort. So anyone out there, if you're looking for a shed, give us a call, and understand you're not just getting a shed, but you're also providing an opportunity for 6 to 8 more carpentry students to get trained up and get put out into the workworce. So your dollar goes away.
Yeah, what a great cause. So I do want to ask if you want to give us any feedback on how you find instructors, and especially with the Trade Institute of Pittsburgh. Has it been more challenging to find instructors in our market, or and I'm asking this question again from personal experience. I thought a few years ago, when I got a little bit closer to this topic, I thought, oh my gosh, we've got all of these people aging, out of the workforce. Their bodies are to the point that they can't do the jobs they used to do. And it seems like such a natural progression that they would want to become trainers in trade schools and bring their, everything they know and teach and help the next generation. And what I found was that was not true, that finding people who were actually willing to be educators in this way and trainers for the next generation, it was kind of challenging. Have you had that experience?
So this is a very probably untraditional way of explaining this process. We've done everything that probably every HR professional has done. We've posted it, we've put the job title, very detailed description, and we've gotten applicants, but none that really fit the bill. Literally, and I don't know if people could call it whatever they want, but I'm gonna call it God, just sends people our way. And it's those people you're talking about. I've been in our carpentry instructor. He is, like I said, been a home builder for 45 plus years, running his own company, him and his brother. He retired. Now all he wants to do is just give what he learned to the younger generation. Our masonry instructor is still a local 9 member, bricklayer, and has been there for 47 years, and just looking for an opportunity to give his knowledge. So it's those people are far and few in between. And I'll tell you, both of those individuals, it was not a traditional matchmaking process. Actually, our masonry instructor, we had a guy that we interviewed. The guy that we interviewed told our current masonry instructor about the opportunity, and he just called. We were done with interviews, and he called and said, "Hey, this person gave me this information. It was the last interview," and within the first 10 minutes, we knew he was the guy. So it's just been like we've been blessed in that area to where the people that we needed just kind of showed up at our doorstep, and it's just been great ever since.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that you've been successful in those non-traditional ways. So other than your masonry and carpentry program, and of course you talked a little bit about, parlaying that into some outsource opportunities with Module at their last mile lab and so forth, are there any other skill sets or, scopes of work, different types of trades that you are considering adding to your curriculum?
Yes, there are, and we always tell people, if the trade isn't going to create jobs, then we can't do it. So our motto is we have to find the employer partners, right? Find those individuals who are going to need these skills, and if there's a demand, then we'll create. So right now we're testing. Well, I guess we're kind of flushing through this idea of weatherization.
Awesome.
We were connected to Penn Technical College, who has an amazing weatherization program, and they had thought that it would be a great connection with us. They came down and toured. They loved the place. We went up and toured them. We loved their place. So that may be something that we add. But as of right now, that's probably the only one in conversation currently. But we're always looking for different ideas and different ways to provide opportunities for the students in which we serve.
Yeah. Well, I love the way you put it, that you need to make sure that there's going to be a pool, from the employer end and from the labor market, and that you're not just pushing out, programs and people that might have a skill that is no longer in demand. The weatherization and, the clean energy workforce is, again, something near and dear to my heart. And I'm grateful that we were able to talk about that today, because I'm so excited. We have lots of opportunity, as we like to call it, with a lot of homes here in Pittsburgh that are in desperate need of some TLC when it comes to creating a healthier and more energy efficient home for a lot of our residents. And I think it would be amazing if we could get a whole bunch of crews from the Trade Institute of Pittsburgh out there and in their communities, right? Just what you mentioned earlier with, the new construction opportunities. Are there opportunities for your students to go into the homes of their neighbors and the neighborhoods that they grew up in, and provide weatherization services to help people be more comfortable, reduce their energy burden? I can't wait to bring you back on the show in the future and hear about the success of that program, because I know that it's going to be successful. I'm putting it out there.
No, it is. It's really exciting. And the one thing that really caught our attention is that it was less about the trade and less about the work and more about the mission behind it. And to me, it was what really caught my attention. And, it's literally a health crisis, like some of the homes and how they're operating. So the whole, helping people live healthier lives. I mean, that's right up our alley. So yeah, we're excited to see where it goes. And we're at the tip of the iceberg, just trying to figure things out. But there's good people on both ends. So I'm pretty sure we'll come up with something that's going to be impactful.
Yeah, love it. So before we wrap up, I would love to hear if you have a particular alumni story that you'd like to share with our audience, just about, the impact that you're making on at least one of your alumni's lives.
Sure.
I know you have a lot of highlights.
Yeah, I could go so many different directions. But being that it's pretty much top of my mind, because he's actually a part of our spring campaign, our giving campaign currently that is running right now, is a guy named David Farr. And David Farr was a graduate of our masonry and our carpentry program. He is now a union carpenter. And he came to us, very, 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 very intelligent individual, ran his own company, had businesses before. He had his rough patch and ended up having to do close to a year in prison. Came home, he had pretty much lost everything, and all he had was his wife and his 2 kids. And came through our program, blew us out of the water. We knew he was going to do great things. And then now, he's living a really, really good life. And one of the things that he has shared with us at our open house was that he's happy. To me, that is why we do what we do, to just help people get to a place where they're happy and they're no longer in survival mode and they're in thriving mode. And to me, that's just why we do what we do. And that's what gets me up every morning. And just knowing that, we can have an impact like that, and knowing that we can empower people to be the best version of themselves, because it's not, and I want to be clear, it's not anything special that we are doing. Like, the people are walking in our doors with the greatness inside of them. We're just encouraging a transformation while they're here. So just, I don't know. I feel like I don't work a day in my life because I get to do what we do. So
yeah. Well, and it's obvious, as I said, every time that I go to any kind of event or engage with anyone in the organization, it's just, it's amazing. And I'm very, very grateful to have you in our community and to be contributing to our next generation of construction workers, or just workers in general. Like you said, they don't have to go into construction. I'm biased. I think it's a pretty cool life, but very, very excited to have you as a guest today, Donta. Thank you so much. And, for all of you out there, again, this is a phenomenal organization to support. They are a nonprofit. They're always looking for financial support. If you are local to Pittsburgh watching this and you are interested in getting connected, let me know, let Donta know, go to their website. Let's get you a tour. Let's get you as pumped up and excited about it as I am. And we would love to, in the future, see this, this whole program expanded into other cities. Definitely going to have you come back to talk more about your partnership with Module, because I'm very excited about what they're doing. I know that our Offsite Dirt audience is really excited about that as well. And definitely going to have you back to talk about your weatherization curriculum, hopefully. So thank you so much for being here, Donta.
Thanks, Karen. I appreciate you having me.